Good evening, everyone. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, we are live right now. The Blame Game on the Awaken the World page. Actually, the group page turns out. It's 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on what appears to be the 18th day of June, if you're paying attention to such things. And you are here with Garhen, of course. Me, myself, and I. All of them. Apparently this evening I'm required to do this by law, so I'll give you a minute just to read. Too much sunshine, too much fun, too much swimming, too much interaction with nature. Garen's a little loopy. So I'll leave that there for a minute just so everyone's clear when I go a little off the wall that it has nothing to do with me whatsoever. Yeah. Hi, Louisa. I see you always there. I hope you like those new pictures I posted today. Kelly likes to, we paddle the whole lake, we circumnavigate the lake. I make her get a workout in. And there's a giant lily patch. We always check and see if the lilies are coming out and watching the pads come up from the bottom and change color, and then the little turtles and the ducks and all the life. And once I get Kelly settled after we've circumnavigated the lake, we go to the provincial park, and there's a beautiful small stand of 3 or 4 fir trees. And I kind of get her tucked in there, half in the light and half in the shade, and the beautiful smell of the fir. And then I hop back on my kayak and I take a long, slow kayak along the shoreline. And as I do that, I'm in this perfectly still space. And I have some videos to post later on the experience as well. And it's truly amazing. And every interaction we have, every opportunity. The ducklings, which have become like a little second family to us, and in some ways, I think us to them, we certainly feel that way with them. I had the opportunity today, and so did Kelly, where we invited a couple of really young children from another family because they were talking about the ducks and the ducklings. And of course, the way they were moving and the quickness of their actions and the lack of that established trust, the ducklings weren't really having anything to do with them. So, I had the little girl come and sit beside me and just sit right down on her butt. I said, and be still and breathe for a moment. And then we put out a little bit of food. I'm pretty sure those little ducklings were crawling all over them too. And it was just a joy to see. And, as I said to another couple out there who called me the duck whisperer, and I gotta tell you, that really quacked me up. God, someone shoot me quick. It really did. I said, this is what I dream to do ultimately, is to have a nice large piece of land on a non-motor lake that's full of life and become a true steward of the land and invite people out there just to reconnect, just to have that experience. And I already warned Kelly that, in the times that we've gone out there already, the response that we're getting from nature and the number of creatures that come closer and closer and closer. I told her if we ever move out there, and we plan to, that, we're going to have a really big extended family coming to our door every morning. And I'd be fine with that. So, first of all, before we get into our video tonight, as always, let me express my love for each and every one of you. No matter what you're going through right now, it is exactly where you need to be. And, I did a lot of kayaking today. I really worked myself out. I went 3 additional times. And my shoulder blades are sore, my shoulders are a little stiff, and I'm just grateful that I have that experience at all. I'm grateful in a world where so many are struggling to be able to have the wonderment and awe of this experience. And my wish is to bring that experience to everybody, everyone, in whatever form I can. So whatever's happening in your life, no matter where it is, it's perfect. For me, I'm realizing I'm not as young as I used to be, but I'm as old as I think I am, and I don't think I'm very old. And that was one of the things that Kelly said to me today. She said, I was watching you, and you're out there kayaking, and you're playing with the animals, and you're swimming and jumping off the diving board, and you're like a little kid. I said, yeah, that's the secret. Get outside and play. When you choose to play, it's literally perfect too. You forget about everything else and just play. You forget about time. You forget about any sense of problems. You just allow yourself to be that child again. Allow yourself to live in that state of awe and wonderment. That blue dragonfly I posted in the pictures, he landed right beside my finger as I was depositing another dragonfly that was on the water that I carefully lifted out of the water because it was struggling, and was putting it on the log. And it didn't leave. It stayed right there. And there was something in the way it was looking at me that made me know instantly that, again, it was far more aware of things than most people would give credit of. And the beauty to behold, the infinitely fine detail of that master artist we are all part of is truly a joy to behold. So, enough meandering. You've all been warned. I got lots of sun today, lots of fun, and probably just a little bit loopy. And that's okay. I love that state of being. We're going to talk about the blame game tonight. And, this is a big one for a lot of people, and it works two ways. And we're going to address both sides of that equation, okay? So forgive me if I need a little extra water now and then. Or in this case, coffee to keep me awake. The blame game is, as I said in the short blurb with the post, pure BS. And we really need to talk about this. We live in a world where we've literally been taught to lay the responsibility for whatever is happening on us anywhere else but squarely on us. And you may say, well, wait a minute, Garhen, if a child gets raped, how do we go to the child and say, well, it's your responsibility? That's not what we're talking about. Because whatever happens is simply whatever happens. I mean, if it's happened, it's too late to do anything about the fact that it's happened. And to dwell on the fact that it's happened does absolutely nothing. And that's a big part of that blame game. But what we're talking about here is what is done after. Because that's the only time that matters. The blame game is all about what happens after. It's not about what's happened. What's happened's already done and gone. It's old news in the moment it happens. And that doesn't mean that it's somehow okay for that young child to be raped. What it means is that young child now, if they are educated properly, made aware, has a choice that they can make based on their experience that can enrich their lives instead of destroy their life. Or at least as far as appearances go. And I would hearken back to my own example with my own father, okay? My father was sexually abusive to my sister and I. My sister was 3 years old. Apparently it started when I was 3. And it lasted until I was about 5.5 or so before my mom finally got rid of the guy. What sort of person would I be if I chose to blame everything that went wrong on that? Well, I can tell you I was initially, for a very short period of time. I'm going to say 5 years. And in that time, looking back now, I see how my egoic sense of self grabbed that blame and all of a sudden lost all of its power. I lost all of my personal power. And that's what happens when you put the responsibility for how you choose to react to the circumstances and events and experiences in your life. When you try and put that responsibility on anyone else, you are literally saying, here's all my power. Take it from me. Take my ability to feel good about myself. Take my love for myself. Take my joy. Take everything. It's yours. You don't even have to take it. I'm frickin' handing it to you. Why? Because it's your fault that I feel the way I do. Boo hoo 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 hoo. Really? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to try to blame someone else for the way you're choosing to react, the way you're choosing to feel? And it is a choice. Consciously or otherwise, it's a choice. And it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you're willing to accept responsibility. Because in the moment that you accept responsibility, in the moment that you stop blaming, I hate that frickin' word, blame. It's all about blame. It's your fault. There's no fault. But there certainly is responsibility. And the responsibility doesn't belong to anybody else except you. That's your power. That's your strength. That's your unassailable position, your bedrock, is that only you are responsible for you. And in that, all of creation, when I say that, it is such a knowing for me that I tingle all over, because all of creation's like, yeah, man, and we got your back. Why? Because you understand that I'm only watching what you're doing right now. And I got your back. No judgment. This is what's there for all of us. Creation has each and every one of our backs with no judgment. Stop blaming anything outside of yourself for how you're choosing to feel, how you're choosing to react, how you're choosing to be. Start owning your reactions. Start being willing to look more deeply at yourself and see why you're not willing to look within. The reason we blame outside of ourselves is because we're afraid to turn around and look inside and see ourselves. Because there's something hideous there? Because there's something not worthy there? No. That's pure and utter BS. We're afraid to look because if we look, we're going to see what we truly are. And what we truly are is so powerful that all the egoic excuses for why we can't be what we want to be instantly evaporate in the light of what you are. So ego likes that cloak, right? It likes to wrap itself up. I think my shirt's dirty from multiple days of kayaking. It's actually white, believe it or not. This is what ego does. It takes on any cloak. And the cloak of blame, the cloak of externalizing, of putting on anyone and everything else. If it's not a nice day out, it's the fault of the rain. If I trip walking out the door, it's the rock that somehow scurried across the road and got right in front of me just in time to trip me. If I arrive to work in a foul mood, it's because of the driver in front of me who cut me off. The list goes on and on and on. If you choose to keep wearing that cloak, where you're looking outside of yourself to find a reason why things are the way they are for you, you're going to face a lifetime. I kid you not, until the day you expire and shuffle off this mortal coil, you will face an entire lifetime of disappointment and powerlessness. Why? Because you think anybody has the ability to control you in any way. And they don't. They can take your freedom. They can take your furniture. They can take your fridge. They can take your futon. They can... Does anyone have any more F words? Except for that F word. They can take everything from you. But they can't take your ability to choose for yourself how you're going to respond, who you're going to be in the face of what life is bringing to you. This is your power. There is no blame, okay? There is no fault. There is only choice and responsibility. And you don't own anything to do with whether someone else chooses to be responsible for what they've done or not. That's one of the biggest ones in blame. God, do I hate that one. If there's anything in the world I hate, it's that particular aspect about blame. You know, it's your fault that I'm doing what I'm doing because of what I'm thinking, that you're thinking, that you said about what I did last week. What a convoluted mess. The other side of blame, of course, is other people who are in that state, living with that cloak, refusing to face themselves, using blame against you. Well, you said this to me and now I'm really upset. You know, I'm not the person to say that to. You know, it's been done. So someone will come to me and say, you know, I didn't appreciate that you said this, and they start yammering on about how miserable that I made them feel. And I take both hands and I kind of mold the artificial non-existent snowball and I say, here's all your power back. I don't know the way you choose to feel. I'm sorry that you choose to view things this way. That's not on me. It's your power. Exercise it. Remember that when you face people like that, okay? Right? It's not an issue to apologize for the fact that what you have said triggered them in that way. Why? Because it's their perception. I don't believe in apologizing for things that you should not be apologizing for two reasons. One, typically you're enabling someone else when you pull that crap. And you're protecting your own butt from any further sense of conflict in any way. Kelly, this is for you. Oh boy, am I in trouble. We do that though. We don't need to do that. We need to be willing to apologize for those things that work in such a way to enhance that other person's understanding of their own power. I'm certainly not going to apologize to them and say, well, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That is only going to enable things to continue for them the same way. Instead, I'm going to say exactly what I said. I'm sorry that you are perceiving things this way. Have you considered looking at it from this point of view instead? Do you realize that despite the fact that you may have an issue with what I have said, You get to choose how to react. Granted, a lot of people aren't ready for that. And thankfully, a lot of people think I'm a very scary person for some reason. So I usually don't have to worry about too much, although I've had to run a few times. No, of course not. In what we're really talking about here, though, is the unwillingness to take responsibility for ourselves. And we have to understand it's not about the position you find yourself in. Because that falls right back into that blame thing again, where people say, well, you dug your own hole. There was a guy who came into the store one time, and he's not a bad person. He was a nice guy. And I was talking about the homeless gentleman, the gentleman who is homeless, who was outside the store, and I would go out and, I would buy his pack of cigarettes for him every once in a while and give him some tea to help his kidneys. And, this guy came in the store and he said to me, well, that guy made his bed. He made his choices. And it took a lot for me not to go over the counter. The tiger was going to have a return to the jungle prey moment. It's not about how you got there. It's about you waking up to the fact that you're here, and the suffering of being here has gone on long enough that it's opened you enough to take on a new concept that you're responsible for your own reactions. You're responsible for your own choices. No matter what, it doesn't matter to me if you've had a gun pointed at your forehead, you still get to choose. If you're too afraid of death, maybe you choose the choice that takes the gun away from your forehead. If you're perfectly okay with death and someone else's life is at risk and you'd rather give your own, maybe you choose to help them pull the trigger. But at the end of the day, no matter what, look me straight in the eyes. All three of them. The choice is always yours. The power always lays with you. The strength, the ability to change everything lies with you and no one. That's your heritage. That's your birthright, your gift upon entering the mortal realm from that divine creator that we are all a part of. That's it, that's all. I don't know, I'm going to lay back and listen to some Enigma this evening and, put my big Gregorian chimes back up and listen to them bang around in the wind. I wish you a beautiful Friday night. We'll catch up again very soon. You are deeply and truly loved, truly safe, and held in the arms of the divine at all times. Namaste.